The sound of the slap echoed louder than the espresso machine, louder than the chatter of 40 strangers, louder than anything Nathaniel Cole had heard in years. And for one frozen second, the entire cafe seemed to stop breathing along with him. He hadn't seen her coming. One moment, he was reaching for his coffee cup at a small table near the window of a busy cafe in Charleston, South Carolina, and the next moment, a woman he had never met in his life was standing over him. Her hands still raised, her eyes blazing with a fury that had clearly been building for a very long time. Every head in the cafe turned. A barista froze mid-pour. An elderly man near the door lowered his newspaper. Nathaniel pressed his palm against his stinging cheek, too stunned to speak, staring up at a stranger whose whole body trembled with rage and grief tangled together. If you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this one remind us that grace can appear in the most unexpected places. The woman's name was Margaret Ellison, and it took her only a few seconds to realize her mistake. Her hand slowly lowered, her breath caught. She stared at Nathaniel's face, really stared, and the fire in her eyes dissolved into horror. "You're not him," she whispered, so quietly that only Nathaniel and the people at the nearest table could hear it. Her voice cracked on the last word, and her knees seemed to buckle as she reached for the back of an empty chair to steady herself. Nathaniel could have been angry. He had every right to be. His cheek burned, and a dozen strangers were now watching him with a mixture of pity and curiosity. But something about the way Margaret's hands were shaking, the way her eyes had filled instantly with tears, told him this was not cruelty. This was pain wearing the wrong face. Instead of demanding an explanation or storming out, he pulled out the chair across from him and quietly asked her to sit down. Margaret didn't move at first. She kept apologizing, her words tumbling over each other, explaining that from the back, in that gray jacket, with that exact posture leaning over a coffee cup, he looked exactly like Thomas, the man she had loved and lost 3 years earlier. The man who had walked out of her life without a single word of goodbye, leaving behind a mortgage, a mountain of questions, and a wound that had never fully closed. She had seen him from across the cafe, and for one blinding moment, 3 years of unanswered pain had risen to the surface all at once. Nathaniel listened. He didn't rush her, didn't dismiss her, didn't make her feel foolish for the mistake. He simply listened, the way his late grandmother used to listen to him after his own father left when he was 9 years old, an experience that had taught him more about patience and forgiveness than any sermon ever could. He told Margaret gently that he understood what it felt like to carry anger towards someone who was no longer there to receive it, and that sometimes the body reacts before the heart has caught up with the truth. They talked for nearly an hour. Margaret learned that Nathaniel worked as a high school history teacher and volunteered at a shelter on weekends. Nathaniel learned that Margaret had spent the last 3 years afraid to trust anyone new, convinced that every kind face was hiding a future betrayal. By the end of their conversation, something had shifted in both of them. A small crack of light breaking through walls neither had realized they'd built so high. Margaret insisted on paying for his coffee, and though he tried to refuse, he eventually let her understanding that she needed the gesture as much as he needed the peace. Before she left, she asked, almost shyly, if he would be willing to meet again, not as strangers this time, but as two people who had stumbled into each other's healing by accident. He agreed. Over the following months, what began with a slap in a crowded cafe slowly grew into an unlikely friendship, and eventually into something neither of them expected to find again. Margaret often said that the worst moment of her year had somehow led her to the best decision of her life, choosing to stay in that chair instead of running from her own embarrassment. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might need a reminder that pain doesn't always stay pain, that sometimes it becomes the doorway to something beautiful. And before you go, I would love to hear from you, so please leave a comment below and tell me what this story meant to you. Nathaniel later said that he never did get truly angry that day, because somewhere deep down, he understood a simple truth. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most unexpectedly are the ones who are hurting the most themselves. And sometimes, forgiveness offered in a single quiet moment can change the course of two lives forever.